This is called to order for the Wyoming City Council meeting of Monday, August 4, 2025. Our first item of business is the invocation by Pastor Rick Alvarez from Amazing Church, Michigan. If you wish and are able, please stand for the invocation. The Pledge of Allegiance will immediately follow.
Good evening. Will you bow your heads and pray with me? Heavenly Father, we come before you with reverence and thanksgiving for the city of Wyoming. You are the chief architect of all cities and the righteous judge who reigns above every earthly government. We acknowledge you as Lord over Wyoming, and we invite your presence, power, and peace to rest upon this city. Tonight, we lift up this council meeting and every servant leader gathered to steward the concerns of this community. We pray for our mayor, Mayor Kent Vanderwood, and for every one of our city council members. Father, I pray that you crown each of them with wisdom that is peaceable and pure. I pray that you grant them the blueprint of your plans for this city, Lord. May they not just lead with intellect, but with divine insight. Let their decisions reflect heaven's justice and be aligned with your will. We declare that confidence will arise and no fear will dwell in their hearts. Uproot anything that hinders clarity or courage. May they lead with boldness and compassion, making decisions that bring flourishing, equity, and lasting impact. Let this meeting be efficient and effective, marked by unity, humility, and vision. Holy Spirit, we invite you into this meeting. I ask that you saturate this room with your peace. Let no voice of confusion, pride, or personal agenda speak louder than the wisdom of God. I ask that you release solutions, strategy, and supernatural favor. Let everything that is done tonight be done decently, in order, and under the covering of your grace. We bless the city of Wyoming. May its neighborhoods be safe, its economy strong, its families united, and its future bright. Let revival flow through the churches, reformation through the systems, and healing through the hearts and minds of its people. We declare that the city of Wyoming will be a city on a hill, governed by righteousness, known for peace, and built on truth. We seal this prayer in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of all. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Let's do roll call.
Councilmember Arnoyes.
Here.
Brethauer.
Here.
DeKreiger.
Here.
Hill. Here. Postma.
Here.
Hostler. Here. Mayor.
Here. Approval of minutes. You were sent the minutes from the July 21st, 2025 regular meeting, and unless there's changes to be made to that, we will take those tonight and accept them as written. Seeing none, those minutes are approved. Approval of agenda. Mr. Shea, anything to add or take off? Or?
No changes.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda by Arnoyes, and second by DeKreiger. Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Arnoyes.
Yes.
DeKreiger.
Yes.
Brethauer.
Yes.
Hill. Yes. Postma.
Yes.
Hostler.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. We have no public hearings tonight, but we will do public comment on agenda items at this time. This public comment period is reserved for comment on agenda items only. If you wish to speak about an item that is not on the agenda, please hold your comments until the acknowledgement of visitors at the end of the meeting. It is important to note this is not an opportunity for dialogue or debate. This is an opportunity to provide comment to the City Council. Upon approaching the podium, please begin by providing your name and address. There's a 3-minute limit per person.
Hi, I'm Ted Brasiak, 5308 Mapleside Lane, and I'm here to speak about the PUD development. Nicole assured me that the traffic study that was in the agenda today would be very veritable, and I'm impressed by the number of cited protocols that were followed. But I'm a math man, and I have taken statistics and know that a study's conclusions are only as good and accurate as the data that was collected. So therefore, I refer you to Section 2 of the traffic report, existing conditions. A says that VK Civil Engineering obtained, they did not gather, but they obtained info from 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m. with counts extended to cover school pickups on February 4, 2025. I don't know how you extend a count to a time before 4 to 6, but that's what they said they did. This data is referenced in Figure 4 and a tech appendix, which are not included in the study, so I don't know what that entailed. So the question is, who collected the data? And I caution you, don't send the fox to count the chickens in the coop. This is definitely a study that needs to be done as an independent study. Then the study goes on to make conclusions on just one study sample. And I don't know of any studies that can claim validity or reliability when there's only one sample. So I too have a one sample traffic study, and it's this picture, which is worth 1,000 words. And this was taken on March 3rd, 2025, which is after this traffic study was done at 3:39 p.m. And you can see the reality of what happens on 52nd Street. And according to the traffic study, they would consider this to be a failure situation. Now, imagine another lane of traffic left of the school bus. If you look way in the back there where the school bus wants to make a left-hand turn, that is where the lane that they want to put in for the new development is going to be. So you have all of this going on with now the possibility of another lane there. So, agenda item number 3, staff comments, parentheses A, insert I, and insert A. List a variation that asks for a public road. I finally figured out that public road here means 52nd Street. And they want a variation of 30 feet with 25 feet of blacktop. This, they say, represents a reduction of 3 feet for both provisions. So a future solution for traffic requires more room on 52nd Street, not less. And there's also a grant to expand the sidewalk on the other side of the road, which also takes away space from possible fixtures on
Hey, Ted,
52nd Street.
your time's up. Your 3 minutes
I did
is
3
up.
minutes, are you sure?
Yep, we're timing it. Wrap it up. Good?
Can I do the last one, please? Please.
Yes.
Variances,
Short.
okay, well, variances are being used to make profitability, and there's all kinds of variances on this particular project. I'm please asking you not to grant the variance for the public road, because I want you to choose public safety over profitability.
Thank you. And I apologize to those of you who are going to speak. We can't put the timer up on the screen because we're showing the visual. So you might want to keep time yourself. But Ms. Holford is keeping track of it for us over there. So she cues me in when your 3 minutes is up. Anybody else want to speak? Nicole, maybe you could give me a flash sign when it's like 30 seconds. And then I can.
My name is Pam McLenithan. I live at 3566 Evanbrook Drive in Wyoming. I'm here to speak to the rezoning of 3738 52nd Street from an ER to a PUD, which is the parcel of land just west of the condo community where I live. So we're over to the right. My finger isn't going to point to it, but you look at that map up there, and that's where we are. At the last meeting, I presented a petition to everyone with 95 signatures from the Villas at Rivertown Concerns Residents Group. After studying the proposed site plan, our group is not against the development, but concerned about density of said housing and extra traffic issues on 52nd Street, resulting from the number of 207 proposed units. We realize that a PUD enables a developer to have flexibility such as in lot size and many other areas. However, if the city wishes to provide a neighborhood for self-owned homes, which you feel is lacking in the Panhandle, you need to also take in consideration, like my neighbor said, would you want to live there or have your grown children raise a family there? Eastbrook homes seem to have a pleasing style to them, but with packing 48 single homes on 50-foot lots, which are the teal-colored lots up there, we don't feel it would give children and adults the feeling of a real neighborhood. One of the council members said in the last meeting that people in many parts of the city live close together and are fine with it. Are they really? And should this be the mindset in this day and age? Planning Commissioner Weller voted no on the rezoning due to the same issue I just mentioned, along with his concerns and the additional traffic. He suggested cutting the number of 50-foot lots, which are the teal lots up there, and adding more footage. He thought this could be done easily and not affect the monetary return for the developer a great deal. Would this also cause greater incentive for folks to buy a home there too? Hopefully you will reflect on some of these issues when you get the actual site review of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak tonight to this issue or this agenda item?
Hi, I'm Mike McGraw with Eastbrook Homes. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to bring this project before you. We remain excited about this community. We believe it fills a huge need that has existed here, and it's an opportunity to do something unique in this community that hasn't been done in a long time. Happy to answer any questions you may have, but other than that, that's it. Just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Anyone else tonight? Okay, public comment on agenda items is closed. We have no presentations or proclamations tonight. We have no petitions or communications, no reports from city officers, no budget amendments. I'd like a motion for the consent agenda, please. Moved by Postler, support by Postma. Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Postler?
Yes.
Postma?
Yes.
Arnoyes?
Yes.
Brethauer?
Yes.
DeKreiger?
Yes.
Hill? Yes. Mayor?
Yes. Resolution A, please.
Resolution A is to amend a portion of the City of Wyoming fee schedule related to Godwin Mercado.
Motion. Motion by DeKreiger, support by Brethauer. Want to explain that, Jim?
So we're planning on the ribbon cutting ceremony, if you will, on August 16th. What this has to do with is setting fees for the use of Godwin Mercado, and it's outlined in the packet for you, both for daily rentals, for the farmers market, and if they want to use the event space, there are charges for both half day and full day. And for residents, it's a lower fee for all of that than for non-residents. And this is part of the revenue structure that we would use. Our goal, council's indicated, we're trying to make this a self-sufficient operation. So this would be part of the revenues that would be recognized for that.
Okay. Would you mind sharing those rates for the audience and people that maybe didn't look at the packet beforehand?
So for using the event space, a half-day rental would be $600 for a resident, or $1,200 for a full-day rental for a non-resident. It's $900 for a half-day and $1,800 for a full day. And then they have for the vendor stalls, there's rates for residents. On a Thursday, it's $15. It's $22.50 for a non-resident. On Sunday, it would be $20 for a resident, $30 for a non-resident. And then there's a seasonal rate, if they choose that, $375 for a resident, $562.50 for a non-resident. The staff had looked at what other similar venues charge. We're probably coming in a little bit below average in an effort to generate the business and revenue that would go with that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to share those, because I think the council will find, and hopefully the residents will find that that's a very fair rates. Any questions for John or Krishan on this?
Yeah, can you remind me, I didn't see it in the packet, what's the capacity if it's just like an event rental space?
Krishan, I thought it was in the 125 range, but I'm going off memory, which is dangerous for me.
So our capacity, we're going to set at 200 for this rate,
Nice.
which is very comparable rate for
No, I think this is great because, I mean, like I said, I got married in a county park and it was so impossible to find. Like, there's lots of spaces available that are like 100, maybe 125 or less. There's a couple that are 150, but it's impossible to find like a larger space like this for a price that is not what the private sector would charge. So it's great.
Other questions for Krishan?
What's included in that rate? So like setup, takedown, cleanup?
Yes, so all of those things would be included. We also will have staff on site for assistance with whoever's renting the space at that time. So it's not like you just sort of be on your own. You sort of have an attendant with you that would walk through that event time with you as well.
And a half day is how many hours?
5.5.
Do we have a specific window that needs to be, or
Yes,
is it?
it is 9 a.m. to 2:30. We give ourselves a 2-hour break to reset, and then 4:30 to 10 p.m.
Thank you.
It will just be a single staff person, and it will be from our already approved budget and staff that currently exist. We have budget already that you all already approved for some part-time staff that will work at the market, that will be event assistants that will assist with those rentals when they happen.
Yeah, I understand it's budget. I just want to be sure if you look at the profit loss for that particular venue, that those hours.
Yes, yes, it's all included in that.
And then as far as,
Yeah, Mr. Arno, is your mic's down.
I swear I tested it. Okay, sorry about that. So, and then as far as the comparables that you had, I know John said that they're a little bit lower. What's the capacity for when we do like when we do the farmers market? How many can be there? What's that capacity look like, and how do we compare per booth to others?
Yes, so the farmer's market is kind of the sky's the limit a little bit, if I'm being honest. So inside the venue, we're looking at likely 20 to 24 that could fit inside the building. Exterior to the building, if we actually include a traffic pattern outside, I mean, we could honestly probably get to 100 vendors total in the entire space. I don't know that that's where we're going to attempt to go, that we want that many vendors that will be a part of this space. But I mean, we're very much under market on the vendor side in terms of fees, because we really want this to look like an attractive opportunity, especially for our farmers and producers, to eliminate as many barriers as we can for them to come and be a part of the market.
And will that be all season, or what's the time frame for that?
Yeah, so main season, we're gonna say, is main growing season. So that's May 1 to the end of October is what we're gonna stretch that to. We're gonna likely run a second season in the winter, which will maybe be oh goodness, I'm gonna mess up, November to February, which will likely be less food focused, but maybe more artisan and craft makers, that sort of thing, rummage sale style situation there. But we want to give ourselves a bit of a break and then start again in May to be able to launch for really focusing on the farm market season then.
Okay. All right. And we're committing to rates just for 1 year, and then we'll just assess it as we go? Is that how we're doing it? Okay.
It's exciting.
Very exciting.
It's getting close, too.
Where is the additional parking going to be? Because if we have fill up the whole parking lot with vendors, where are people going to park?
Oh, there's plenty of parking. So we're going to fill with vendors just on the building side. So where the building is, where the plaza is, there's parking all around that space. Everything else is public parking.
Okay.
So across from the athletic complex, that's all open public parking.
Okay.
I drove by there recently with my granddaughter, and she had not seen it up yet, and it was pretty exciting. And then I said, man, we got a lot of parking here.
It's a lot of
that to the west of the actual
Yes.
building. It's just huge. So, any other questions?
Like Friday night or with the football games and stuff, is that going to create a problem?
Nope. no, we're working very closely with the school. We've got their schedules down. We're kind of going to watch and see what the parking lot looks like with their capacity in that parking lot, but we will adjust private rentals as we need to make sure that they have the space they need.
Beautiful.
Good work.
Okay, thank you.
Let's call the roll.
Councilmember DeKreiger?
Yes.
Brethauer?
Yes.
Arnoyes?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Postma?
Yes.
Hostler?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, let's take Resolution B, please.
Resolution B is to establish election precincts and polling locations for the city of Wyoming.
Motion, please. Motion by Postma, support by Arnoyes. This one's yours, I think, to explain, isn't it, Kelly?
It is mine,
Okay.
yes. So we've been talking for a couple of months now about these precinct consolidations. Just an overall trend of voters who are participating more and more through absentee or early opportunities have resulted in fewer voters showing up at the precinct on election day. So state law was changed to allow us to adjust our precinct sizes, and based on that new limitation, we've created a plan for 18 precincts instead of 30. So this does result in some cost savings for us, roughly $15,000 a year on election inspector wages and preventative maintenance on our election equipment. Future potential savings could be in the hundreds of thousands based on cost of new election equipment. And then there are smaller ancillary costs like facility rental and election supplies. So council approval is required in order to make these changes, and that's why this proposal is in front of you tonight.
So as I understand it, we're actually going to reduce the number of precincts and make them larger. We're not assigning a voting election place to multiple precincts. In other words, we're not keeping the same number of precincts and just saying the following precincts will work here,
Right.
the following here. We're actually changing the precinct.
We are, well, and I guess the benefit for us is many of the precincts where we've consolidated, these voters were already going to the same location. So for example, we had 2 precincts going to Godwin Phys Ed building. We had 2 going to Together Church. In a lot of those cases, we've simply eliminated the border between those 2 precincts. We have the same number of voters going to the same facility. So about half of our voters won't really see any change. They'll still be going to the same facility, but we've just renumbered all of the precincts to adjust to that new 18 number.
Right. And this will start with which election? When will it start?
We are aiming to implement this with November. The idea being that we could implement it in a citywide election before the midterms next year. We want to avoid any confusion for voters. All voters through this proposal would receive a new ID card. We've got a whole communications plan if this is approved tonight. So we want to make sure that voters are aware of these changes well in advance of the 2026 election cycle.
Good.
So this won't change anybody's, like, which county commissioner they're assigned to or
No.
anything like that?
No. We were very mindful to keep lines clean. Ward boundaries were not adjusted. Very mindful of county commissions, school districts. We've got some fun things with our state representatives in Wyoming. So, no, we tried to manage that as much as possible, that no voters see changes in that regard.
Questions?
I think you said the only thing that might change is precinct delegates.
Yes,
Yeah.
you asked a question about that at the last meeting, and
Yeah.
that's not something I have been a part of. I did look into that, and actually, the number of precinct delegates per precinct is determined by the parties. So, for example, while there's an overall reduction proposed of, 30 to 18 precincts, our political parties could determine that they want 3 precinct delegates or 4 per precinct in Wyoming. So the overall number of precinct delegates might not change.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank
But
you for
that-
checking into that.
Of course.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you. Well, let's call the roll.
Okay. Councilmember Postma,
Yes.
Arnoyes.
Yes.
Brethauer.
Yes.
DeKreiger.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hostler.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Award of bids, contracts, purchases, and renewal of bids and contracts. We'll take A and B together, please.
Resolution A is a resolution to authorize the city manager to execute a contract amendment with the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, Inc. and to authorize the related budget amendment for older adult transportation assistance. This resolution includes budget amendment number 1. And Resolution B is to authorize the city manager to execute a contract amendment with the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, Inc., and to authorize the related budget amendment for older adult transportation assistance. And this includes budget amendment number 2.
Let's get a motion. Motion by Postler, support by Postma. What's the difference between A and B?
Fiscal years.
Okay.
So actually, the second one, the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan is providing an additional $1,800 in grant funding for transportation services for the current fiscal year, or their current fiscal year. And then the first one is actually providing the grant funding in the amount of $16,000 for the next fiscal year.
Okay. Questions? We've had this program in place for quite some time. I know that it's a benefit to our seniors who need transportation. No questions? Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Postler,
Yes.
Postma,
Yes.
Arnoyes,
Yes.
Breathauer,
Yes.
DeKreiger,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, let's do ordinance 10-25.
Ordinance 10-25 is to amend Section 90-515 of the Code of Ordinances by adding subsection 147 to rezone 3738 52nd Street Southwest from Estate Residential to PUD 4. This ordinance is in final reading.
Motion, please. Motion by DeKreiger, support by Breathauer. John, anything to add?
So obviously you saw this, I think, a month ago for first reading. So this is a proposal, a rezoning proposal for a 207-unit single-family owner-occupied housing project. We did, some of the concerns that were expressed today on traffic. Obviously, there was the traffic study in there. Our engineering department and our police department did meet with the principal at Granville Elementary School to discuss the stacking of vehicles on 52nd Street during student drop-off and pickup in the morning and afternoon. And they reached an agreement, right? Previously, there was, if you think about, there was one lane going into the school, and they have plenty of room on their space, so they are going to reconfigure their space on school property where they'll have 3 lanes able to go in and stack up on school property to prevent the vehicles from stacking up onto 52nd Street. And when school starts, the police will be there to monitor that when the school year opens in a couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks. So we did have a very productive meeting with the school on that. That's been the majority of the concern that we've heard. And then obviously you've had some information here. We've had I think a couple of different proposals for the use of this property, and I think we had the trustee for the property come a couple of years ago and announced they were looking at selling and looking at a potential multifamily development. I understand staff worked with them, and then that development did not come to pass. And now we have this development that staff is recommending does fit with the master plan, and obviously doesn't require a pilot or anything like that. And again, the traffic issues, the traffic study that was in your packet has indicated that this would still provide acceptable levels of service on 52nd Street. And with the specific issue of the school traffic, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we had a very productive meeting with the school, and they are going to make changes in terms of how vehicles are stacked on their property to prevent them from being stacked on 52nd Street. If you have any specific questions beyond that, either I or Nicole else could help with that.
All right. Mr. Arnoyes.
Just to add on, just a clarifying question. So when we met with the school, when you all met with the school and they talked about going to 3 lanes, is there any physical changes to the site, or they actually have 3 lanes so that they can facilitate that? What does that look like, and how is that going to be implemented?
They're going to cone off in their entrance, and there's quite a bit of parking and space there, and Kip, if I'm wrong in this, but they're going to cone it off such that they're going to have 3 lanes of traffic coming into there. As they enter the site, though, it'll expand to 3 separate lanes of student drop-off and pickup. Right now, there had been only 1 lane going in. And they have quite a bit of property on that site to allow that expansion. So it's going to be designated really with cones to do that. And, you know, students, our school staff will be out there monitoring that, and I know the police will be out there as well, monitoring to make sure that the vehicles don't stack up on 52nd Street in the next couple weeks whenever school starts.
Okay, I'm sorry, getting way into the minutia on this, but any other details on, will they have people actually just directing people there, or just cones? I just want to, because that can get confusing as well, and I don't want to have that to be a big quagmire that even causes more of a bottleneck.
Sure. I was at the meeting with the principal. It was a great meeting. So we'll be utilizing police personnel in the first week or so, just to kind of, start to imprint the parents on the routine and get them into the mode that we want them in. And they'll be utilizing staff members as well from the school throughout the year, to continue to direct parents, keep them moving, making sure they're not taking too much time picking up their children, that sort of thing. But picture a toll booth as you're entering on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
There's not just one toll booth in one lane. It expands into, in this case, it would be 3 booths, so that the traffic is dispersed out wider. There's one parking lot that will be designated for that lane, so they won't allow parking during the school day in that particular area, and they have plenty of room to accommodate that. So they're going to just utilize that as basically a stacking area. So instead of those 5 or 6 cars that sometimes end up on 52nd, the goal would be to get those 5 or 6 cars stacked in that particular designated area.
Okay.
And cones will be it. And then if in fact, the school grows and we have other issues, we can come up with a different plan. They have a ton of space. They have more space than a lot of our schools in the area do with the same problems, so that's a good problem to have. They also have an alternative exit entrance off of Alexandria to the west of the school that can be utilized if they get stuck on 52nd for some reason. The request of the parents is going to be keep moving, go down to Alexandria and come in the side entrance and utilize that so that we don't have any stacking at all on 52nd.
When is construction going to start on that? Likely, Mike? Do you have an answer to that? What are we talking? Timeline-wise, they're going to implement this plan this August, and we're going to be able to test it out well before you guys are going to have any
Correct. We have
construction.
a whole long construction plan approval process to go through. We won't start till next year sometime.
Yeah. So
With vertical construction, if we're fortunate, that'll be next fall. So with the first units not finishing until probably spring, summer of 27.
Yeah. So we're going to have plenty of time to test this new pickup drop-off.
Yes, for sure. But I think we're starting with just a ton of cooperation from the principal. I said, man, you're the professional when it comes to communicating with parents, and I think that's the start. It's going to be really diligent in impressing upon them the importance of this. And it's not just, everybody else has to follow the rules, but I don't have to. We got to get cooperation from the parents, and we're confident we can do that by having, again, not necessarily an enforcement arm in the police, but having a police presence there is not bad. And then staff members to encourage people to keep moving. And if, like I said, if it grows and we have another issue, we've got plenty of room to reconfigure,
Good.
we feel.
Okay, thank you.
Room and time.
Yeah, any other questions?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Any questions on the other aspects of the site?
Yeah, I have a question. On these 50-foot lots, it's going to be pretty small. How are we going to accommodate ramps for the handicapped folks who need a ramp?
So we actually have 50-foot lots throughout a large portion of our community, specifically on the north side of town. And there are plenty of examples and ways that we can work with homeowners to install ramps when needed. Driving up and down our streets, you will see a handful of homes that do have those ramps, and some of them even on 40-foot wide lots. There are ways to do it. So
I know, and I know. I experience it every single day in what I do for a living. So that doesn't give a whole lot of room for, there's a lot of turns you have to do, and when you're trying to take care of folks with ADA, it gets really difficult, and for emergency medical vehicles to get these folks out of the home when there's a medical emergency. It's tough to get the gurneys gurneys up and down those ramps.
The only thing I'd add to what Nicole said is we can actually specifically design zero-step homes. If someone comes to us and wants to build a house, a lot size with no inhibitor of that sort of home design.
How many no-step homes are there going to be in there? That was my other question.
That's by buyer requests.
Is there going to be any in the plan?
Everyone that a buyer wants, yes.
So they are custom-built homes, and so they are based on what the each individual buyer wants. So
Mike,
if the
why
individual
don't you come
buyer
up to
wants
the-
zero,
I'm sorry, I couldn't see you behind the TV.
Maybe that wasn't clear, but we do design and build all the detached homes based upon what customer preferences are. So they pick which site they want to build on, they pick the floor plan, and then we design it to their needs. And that can include zero-step. We probably do, I dare say, 50 to 100 of them every year.
Yeah, they're getting more popular. And are a lot of these homes going to have basements or no basements?
On the lots, they will have basements. Those can still be done with zero-step entrances. And on the townhomes, the rear-loaded townhomes will be slab on-grade construction, and the others will be on basements.
Okay, so the 50-foot lots, basements or no basements?
Basements.
Okay.
I'll stay here in case.
Other questions? Yeah, stay up, just in case. Questions for Nicole, for the builder, for Aaron?
I'll just ask a few questions. So just for the audience, also, I received a number of different emails from people and tried to follow up with people. Some of them expressed their opinions but didn't leave any contact information. So if anybody is watching, listening, I have tried to reach out, but I will try to ask some questions on behalf of the people. So Nicole, several of the questions were tied to traffic density, but also about as far as the like the buffer, as far as between lots and so forth, especially the rear setbacks. Is there anything different with the setbacks with this? And I know in a couple of the correspondence there's some tree lines that were there. Any idea? I know we're talking rezoning now and getting more into site plan, but anything different with what this development is versus others of a similar nature that have different setbacks?
yes. So the advantage of looking at a PUD is that we do provide some flexibility. So you can actually have a neighborhood that looks slightly different or feels slightly different than a traditional platted neighborhood. So in this case, the developer is asking for a deviation for rear yard setbacks, specifically along that lot line that you're referring to, which would be on the south side of the property. And that is a 5-foot deviation from the standard. So a normal rear yard setback would be 35 feet. They're asking for a 5-foot deviation, which would be 30 feet. I think that in a lot of our research, what we've actually found is that, especially in some of the older areas, they have even, our existing pattern has reduced lot lines even beyond that. So this would still be in character with the surrounding area. In terms of the trees, we've spoken with the developer and had a lot of great conversation about trying to preserve as much tree canopy as possible. This is actually one of the few developers in the state who's received an Arbor Day award for their work specifically preserving existing canopies. And their landscaping plans also propose more than the average developer in terms of bringing back landscaping into the community.
Can we put the visual back up on the screen?
Sure. Connor's going to do it for you.
You're talking about tree lines and stuff like that. There we go.
So, Mr. Arnoyes, what I was referring to is the yellow lots. Those will be the ones with the 5-foot setback, which bump up against that existing residential on what would be the south side of the development.
Other questions?
And I guess I'll have one more question. So just also getting your take on what Mr. Brisiak had mentioned about the study, the traffic study. Can you maybe speak to that a little bit as far as samples and where they came from? And just I want to make sure I'm fully understanding.
So I'm going to partially apologize and say that I was focused on the timer at that point in time, but I believe what I heard him ask was, is it traditional to only have one sample size and some of those other factors? Not being a traffic engineer expert myself, I spent a lot of time speaking with our city engineer, Jeff Unk, and he assured me and was very comfortable with the plan as proposed. He reviewed it thoroughly and said that it was in line with all of the other traffic studies that we've received, and that he saw no reason not to recommend the project based on that study.
But I thought I heard also that this traffic study, they didn't actually do the study, they received data from somewhere else. That's not true, correct?
No, that's not true. They
Okay.
did the study,
All right.
yes.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Greg, would you like to explain the petition situation? Because that might, I mean, somebody brought it up tonight that they'd submitted one and you reviewed that and everything.
Just turn it off.
I sure can, Mayor and Council. Prior to the last reading, 2 council meetings ago, we did receive a protest petition right before council took their seats. We did review that petition. We believe it was about 83 signatures from the condo association to the east. I worked with planning. There is no set form to evaluate the protest petition to validate who the people are, but we did, and the best we could, and we believe we recommended to now have 5 votes rather than 4. Normally, you can pass an ordinance, except an emergency ordinance, with just a majority of council. This would take, by the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, 1 more vote. You're going to need 5, and based on our review of that protest petition, I'm recommending to council that if you adopt this, then do it by 5 people.
Okay, I thought that was important to get that out too, for council and visitors. Other questions or concerns, or? Let's call the roll.
Councilmember DeKreiger?
Yes.
Brethauer?
Yes.
Arnoyes?
Yes.
Hill?
No.
Postema?
Yes.
Hostler?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. We got 6 instead of 5. We made it. Thank you, everybody, for your interest in this and staying involved and letting us know where you're at with it. Information material, Mr. Shea? None? Okay. Acknowledgement of visitors. This public comment period is an opportunity to share concerns or present topics to the City Council that were not part of this meeting's agenda. So if you have something to address, come on up, give us your name, and 3-minute limit. Anybody on any topic? Oh, sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you recognize me. My name is Gary Solomon. I'm the trustee of the topic property that we're talking about. I live at 2856 Tansy Trail in Wyoming. I just wanted to let you know that we had a lot higher offers than what we accepted. And we chose Eastbrook Homes because we toured some of the other communities that they've designed, and we liked what we saw, and we thought they would do the best for what our parents would want for the property. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Gary, for coming. Anyone else?
Hello, Gary Novakowski, 1115 Wheeler. I'm sure you guys remember me from my problem with my neighbors. And I'm still having the problem 2 years later, and nothing has been done. I get promises from the police sergeants, stuff like that. Nothing gets done. And I had out-of-town visitors a few months ago, and I've told you about the number of people that are living next door to me in a small 2-bedroom apartment. and I had out-of-town visitors, and she said to me, they're human trafficking people. And it really, you know, I don't know if they are or not, but like I've expressed to you guys, expressed to the chief, you know, any given day, a car will show up, truck will show up in the middle of the night, 4 or 5 people get out, luggage. The people upstairs move in the middle of the night. I have cameras to prove all this stuff. I've seen children about 10 years of age that don't leave the house any other time, and I know this because I have cameras, but except for in the middle of the night, you know, and I don't see it, but I see it on my cameras the next day. I let the chief know it. She told me to tell my neighborhood cop, tell him, and he tells me it's none of my business. But yeah, I'm miserably living in Wyoming. I can't have, you know, get-togethers at my home because I don't know what my neighbors are gonna do. They put cigarette butts out on my bird feeders. They throw screws in my yard, in my pool. I just had to go get another tire, well, about 2 weeks ago, and I did call the police. There's nothing they can do unless it's on camera. They knocked my retaining wall down. They throw food, cornbread, in my pool, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt that maybe a bird picked it up or something, but a bird isn't gonna pick up, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm still living with that. By everybody else, you know, I pay my taxes. I get, you know, permits for when I want to put fences up or furnaces, or, you know, I do my part. And I'm not getting nothing back. And I'm really getting sick of it. And I do know from people that live and work in Grand Rapids Police that there is stuff you guys can do. They're not even, you know, I call the police, they come and ID me. They won't even ask them for IDs. The last police that was there told me I should get a restraining order, a PPL, but I don't even have a name. You know, they come and ID me. You know, they won't go ID them or warn them or nothing.
Well, thank you. Your time's up, but thank you.
Guys.
Anybody else?
I'm Pam McLenithan from 3566 Evanbrook Drive. I've spoken already. And we had a person that could not come tonight, and she had a issue she wanted to bring up too from our group. We really appreciate you working on the issue on 52nd with the school. It is a real traffic, well, Ted Braziak showed the picture how it can get pretty bad, and especially in the winter. So we appreciate you working on that. This is, however, just a small solution to the traffic issue now, and with Eastbrook's developers said they don't have control of the traffic issue on 52nd. However, adding 207 units on 52nd Street will add already more cars to a problem that we have, especially when the school is in session and other busy times during the day. With the addition in the last 4 years of apartments and condo developments, plus a new middle school and a 4-mile radius, this is part of the panhandle possibly that will be less desirable in the coming years to the increased traffic. Going in and out of my condo community, which is just east of this development, I have a difficult time with my car due to the traffic and sight restrictions at times. Since there is not a sidewalk on our side of the road, many of our residents have to cross 52nd to continue their walks. And we have 2 individuals that have motorized chairs that cross that road when they want to go to Meijer or to the mall. A traffic study should be done, we believe, during the school year when families are here, people aren't on their vacations, to give a more exact number. At both the recent Planning Commission meeting and the last council meeting, a city staff member said that if a problem arises for the new proposed development, they will try to address it then. Roadways are part of a successful development. Hopefully, the council will be more proactive in trying to alleviate this problem before it gets worse. Also, the speed of 45 miles per hour is way too fast on this stretch of road, which is also close to 2 schools. With the new development, more children will be living closer to this busy street, causing other safety issues. Thank you for your time, and hopefully you'll continue to reflect like you do on these kinds of problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you for speaking tonight. Anyone else? Well, let's go around the council. We'll start with Mr. Postma over there. Anything tonight, Rob?
No, I just want to thank staff for the time they spent working on the school issue. I'm glad to hear we had a positive outcome out of that so far, so I'm also glad we're going to monitor it, and I hope we'll stay on that and make sure that doesn't continue to be a problem. That's all.
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and sharing your concerns.
Ms. Bossler.
I'll add to that, thanking the Solomon family for the amount of care that was put into making sure that this development was set up for success in the first place, so thank you.
Mr. Arnold?
Prashant, thank you for your work on the Mercado. I think, again, very excited about that and very excited for the upcoming ribbon cutting, and then just to see what impact that'll have on that area. So thank you very much to you and the team for doing so well at this.
Mr. Krieger?
I'll pass.
You'll pass. Ms. Hill?
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. It's nice to have residents here and sharing your comments and your opinions. It's helpful, and just want to make sure maybe Kip gets together with you, and that's a problem that needs to be solved. So.
I got a couple things tonight. First of all, Home Flats food truck events. We're excited to announce that Home Flats Food Truck Park grand opening is this Thursday, August 7th, from 5 to 7 p.m. across the street at 1320 28th. This week's food truck event will feature Los Pinches Tacos, Being Cheesy, and Safari Snacks. The food truck events will kick off this Thursday and will be held every other Thursday until the end of the season. I wish it would have started earlier in the season. We could get a little more, have more good food over there. Godwin Mercado grand opening. This is exciting. Join us on Saturday, August 16th. That's just a week from next Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will unveil our new farmers market and year-round event facility, Godwin Mercado. This free event will feature food and drinks from multiple local vendors, live music, lawn games, face painting, and more. Visit the Godwin Mercado Facebook page for more information. Just to repeat, that's Saturday the 16th from 11 to 1. And just a reminder that tomorrow night is National Night Out. That's a national event that Wyoming participates in with many of our neighborhood associations. We'll have several little gatherings around the city. All of those are listed on the Wyoming Facebook page. We've got a couple new ones this year. New groups that have started are going to host an event tomorrow night. So we got about 10 or 12 of those. So hopefully there's one in your area. If not, find one and attend. They're a lot of fun. So with that, meeting adjourned.